The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.
We're so pleased to have on the show an incredible jazz singer and composer. She's also the daughter of Tony Bennett. Antonia Bennett, thank you for joining the show.
Thanks for having me.
You know, it's so much fun. I was listening to your back catalog of music that you've done over the years. We have to talk about your brand new album also, Happy Holidays with Love. And you and I were talking about this. You did not take your standard approach on these songs. You had a little fun with them.
Oh, I sure did. And I had a lot of help too. I have a great musical director that I was working with on this record, Christian Jacob, and he did all the arrangements. And it was thrilling to be able to just, you know, lay into these tunes and give my own rendition.
Well, you know what, and it really shows your depth of background. I was going to bring up also, you know, studying at Berkeley, you can't ignore your jazz training, or, you know, that you started out singing at like 4 years old with your father and being around, you know, musical luminaries throughout your life. And so the songs, to me, you did such a great job, you know, to where you have, you know, you show your jazz chops, but then also you've got some swing music in there, like Frosty the Snowman was so much fun. And you and I were talking about dreidel, you know, and how you know, merge songs within that towards like going, okay, I'm really enjoying that. And then you pop up the beat, you know?
Well, you know, it's the holidays. We're supposed to have fun with this stuff, you know, so.
It had to be hard, though, for you to go through and pick these songs.
You know, not really. I didn't really overthink it.
Oh, good.
I really just picked the songs that I love to sing, that I've been singing year after year at the holidays with my family and loved ones. And I wanted it to be fun. And I sat down again with Christian and I said, oh, what do you think about these songs? And he's like, yeah, that's great. What do you think about these? And I said, yeah, I think that that'll all work great together. And that's how we really came up with this record. We really wanted to just give tribute to the songs that we loved.
Well, you know, and I was going to bring up also, Antonia, to where it's like it really, I thought some of the songs did a great job of not overshadowing your voice. You know, to where, you know, some of the songs to where, because I think, you know, and once again, you know, you and I both being jazz fans, and certainly you've been so immersed in it, but sometimes the instrumentation and orchestration can overshadow the voice. And I thought with these songs on this album, it did such a nice job of really showcasing your voice and your range. And a lot of times jazz albums don't do that.
I guess that's true. I think it depends on who you're working with. If you work with people who really understand you, then hopefully everything comes together in a cohesive way that highlights the artist.
Right. And you've got such a great ear too.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it was interesting to me, well, working on your originals and certainly your past albums. I know you have a brand new album coming out in 2025 as well with Expressions, but that a lot of times you write on piano and bass. And I thought that was very interesting with the bass because then it wouldn't conflict with your voice.
Well, yeah, you know, I just think it just depends, you know, different instruments will bring different things out in you, and so sometimes you feel like sitting at the piano, and sometimes for me it's just easier to come up with the bass line and sing on top of that than it is to sit down and, you know, write a bunch of chord changes.
Right. I think it's smarter because then also, I mean, because as you and I both know, and a lot of our viewers as well, to where otherwise, you know, the piano or guitar, whatever instrument, kind of frequency-wise will conflict with your voice, and you've got such a huge range anyway.
Well, thank you.
So did your daughter have any input on the holiday choices for the songs?
Well, she likes Frosty the Snowman.
Good call, see? You can't blame her.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with the holiday season. Well, and I wanted to bring up as well, you know, with the plans that you have for 2025, including, you know, a cruise, more tours, obviously so many shows around the country, and a lot of fans coming out to hear you. And you and I were talking about the Great American Songbook. And you're going to be, you know, dipping back in, but also adding some originals on this new album as well.
That's right. Yeah, well, I like to write songs and I like to collaborate with other people. It's fun and it's a different kind of thing. Being an interpreter is really great because you can take something and make it your own, and you always have to keep the composer in mind. But then when you're creating your own songs, you can kind of write the story that you want.
Right. And having a great music director along with you doesn't hurt either.
No, it sure doesn't.
Because then they know how you like to interpret it.
Absolutely.
So I've got to ask you this, because certainly, you know, touring with your father for 25 years and hitting the stage with him at 4 years old. So now is your daughter, you know, kind of traveling? Is she taking to the music as well?
Well, she sure loves to sing, and she comes along with me sometimes on shows. It's hard now, she's in school, so,
Right.
But when she can, she comes out, and she loves it. She loves to be around music. I think, you know, music is great for all children.
Totally, and adults. And I gotta say this also, because you're not going to. It's like with your, you know, once again with your father and playing all these incredible venues like Royal Albert Hall and Caesars and so on, but also getting to hang out with Ella Fitzgerald, Rosemary Clooney, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. I mean, do you ever look back on those memories and pictures and go, you know, wow. I mean, you know, it's like at that young of an age, you know,
Yes.
you were already mixing in with, you know, musical luminaries.
It was kind of normal because everybody, I mean, believe it or not, back in those days, Beverly Hills was still kind of a small town. And everyone lived fairly close to one another.
Right.
So you could walk to those people's houses, and everybody seemed to be really good at what they did. So it just seemed like a normal thing. And I look back now and realize that those were special moments, and I was very lucky to come in at a time at the tail end of when a lot of these legends were still living, and I was able to watch them do their thing with my own eyes, you know.
And also learn from them. But I think it's so neat, you know, going back over some of your past interviews to where, you know, you would hang out with your dad and you would go visit friends and talk art, or you would go to, you know, museums with your dad. So it's just like any father-daughter
Absolutely.
relationship that you guys had, except that obviously, you know, with your father being such a huge name in jazz music. So now I'm sure you have that feeling to where it's like, okay, well, I need to continue this tradition on and keep this music out for a new and younger audience, don't you think?
Well, you know, this is music that I love, and even as a young child, I really loved this music, even if my friends were listening to other things. And so I don't see why other people wouldn't like it too. I do it because I love it, and I hope people will love it as much as I love singing it, you know? And that's really the key, is just to do something that you love, do it to the best of your ability, and try to pay it forward.
Well, you know, it's not a bad thing either when you've got the New York Times and all these other magazines and everything writing rave reviews about your songs and your work. You know, and once again, you know, your past albums have done well also. But I felt like, especially on this holiday album, it seems like you're really coming into your own. It seems like you're really getting comfortable with your voice and with the music choices and everything. Do you feel like that's true?
I certainly do. I feel that way. I feel like the torch has been passed, and that in a lot of ways I've really relaxed as a singer, and so now I'm able to just step into my own light and be my own singer and take all of these inspirations and influences that I've had and mush them into one thing and make it my own.
You know, I couldn't help but think about this also. Besides the duet that you did with your father years ago, I thought, you know, maybe it's time to where you're going to have to bring in some friends and do duets with them also. I mean, I know you've already got the next album ready to release in 2025, but I thought it might be fun for you at a point also to bring in some other friends, and certainly, you know, of your father's and of yours, and do a duets album with them as well.
Well, I would certainly love to do that.
I think it'd be a great opportunity.
Yeah, it would be wonderful to do something like that.
Once again, the hard part, choosing the songs. Because you and I have so much of the same taste in these songs, and there's just so many great jazz songs, you know, in the great American song catalog, and I think people forget about them.
You know, I think it's kind of easy to pick these songs because they're all so good, and the lyrics are so incredible, and the melody that it really gives you a chance to dig in.
Right.
And you kind of can't go wrong with that material. You just have to pick things that you can sing honestly, or you can perform honestly. But it's almost like hard to pick one that doesn't work, you know.
Exactly. Well, and you were saying as well, you know, as you've been touring around, and I know you have extensive tours planned coming up in 2025 as well, but, you know, just getting to work with other great musicians.
Yes.
And I'm sure they're kind of clamoring to work with you as well, you know, and to be able to showcase songs with you. But I found it so unique on Happy Holidays with Love, to where some of the songs I would expect, you know, your voice or the chording to change, and it wouldn't, and it grabbed my attention more.
Yes.
You know, just in these compositions, and taking the time and having the knowledge to do that with the songs, that's huge.
I think so many of the great interpreters of American Songbook that came before me would do that. They would take a song that's been done a million times before and change the tempo,
Right.
or change the harmonies and make it their own. And so it's really a tradition that that I'm accustomed to, and that's what's also so great about these songs. You could do them a million times, and each time make it a little bit different.
And I think that's what's so appealing, but also I've got to bring this up, and I've got to congratulate you. This is the jazziest version of Frosty the Snowman I've ever heard. I mean, it's like I'm like going, wow, Frosty's really got this down now. This is not, you know, like the old Burl Ives Frosty that, you know, we grew up with. It was moving. You know, it really, you know, got me into the song and everything. And these are also great songs, all of them that you chose, just like with Cool Yule and everything, you know, to play around the holidays, to have us in that spirit, in the spirit of our family, and certainly you and your daughter and husband and everything, to spend that time. But I want to make sure for our viewers, you know, and I know we've talked about this too, that it may come out on vinyl next year, so people will have to wait. But obviously the entire album released last week. And so where can viewers go for everything, for your tours, for the music, for the new album in 2025? Where should they go?
Sure, they can go to antoniabennett.com, or they can find me on Facebook or Instagram.
And I got to mention this too, and lots of concerts too.
Absolutely.
All over the country.
They can certainly check my website for upcoming events.
And possibly a cruise, but we can't give you a date yet. So check it out. Antonia Bennett, I'll tell you what, an incredible album. Be sure and download it, add it to your playlist, tell your friends about it also. Happy Holidays with Love. So nice having you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.